For as long as I can remember, my life has been driven by a powerful desire to become the person who proves that the impossible can actually be done. I have always been drawn toward challenges that people say cannot be achieved. Something inside me has always pushed me to go after the things that others doubt. And when I look back at where that drive started, I realize it probably began with my family, especially my mother and my grandmother. Both of them always believed I could do more. They constantly expected greater things from me. They wanted me to rise above average. They didn't want me to settle for an ordinary life. Their belief in me planted a seed in my mind very early. Over time, that seed grew into a strong personal desire. I started wanting more for myself as well. I wanted to become someone important. So I wanted to become someone who mattered. That desire shaped many of the choices I made throughout my life. It influenced the opportunities I accepted and the ones I turned down. There were certain roles that I refused because they didn't represent the person I wanted to become. I realized that success, for me, wasn't just about image or recognition. I wanted to represent something deeper. I wanted to be known as the person who shows up before everyone else arrives and who is still working long after everyone else has gone home. To me, that represents true commitment because the reality is that success does not come from talent alone. Success comes through dedication, it comes through discipline, and it comes through the strength to keep pushing forward even when the journey becomes extremely difficult. And let's be honest about something. The journey will become difficult. There will absolutely be moments when you feel tired. There will be times when frustration hits you hard. There will be days when the idea of quitting feels very tempting. Those moments are part of the process. But how you respond during those difficult moments depends on who you are as a person. And more importantly, on the person you are determined to become. When I think about my decision to pursue acting, I understand now that it came from a deeper place inside me. At its core, it was connected to the desire to become somebody significant in life. My mother had a completely different vision for my future. She wanted me to become a truck driver. In her mind, that career offered security. She believed that if I went to Truckmasters and learned that trade, I could earn about $24,000 a year. At that time, that amount of money would have been nearly double what my father was making. From her perspective, it made perfect sense. She believed that kind of financial stability would give me a better life. But deep down, I felt something very different. There was a voice inside me that kept telling me, this is not the path meant for you. I knew that driving a truck was not the dream that lived inside my heart. There was something else calling me. There was something else that mattered more to me than simply earning a paycheck. So I made a decision that many people around me didn't understand. I chose passion over money. I decided that I would rather chase the thing I loved instead of choosing the safe option just because it guaranteed income. Looking back today, and I can honestly say that decision changed my life. And let me be clear about something. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a truck driver. It is a respectable and honorable job. It simply wasn't the path that matched the dream inside my heart. One of the major influences that helped shape my thinking during those early years was a man named Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was a personal development speaker, and when I was 17 years old, I had the opportunity to attend one of his seminars. That experience opened my eyes in ways I had never experienced before. One of the first things I ever heard him say stayed with me forever. He said something incredibly simple but incredibly powerful. He said, if you want your life to change, you have to change. If you want things in your life to get better, wakey, then you must become better. That idea hit me hard. Before hearing those words, I had always believed that success depended on external circumstances. I thought that maybe the economy needed to improve. Maybe my company needed to change. Maybe my paycheck needed to increase. I believed that if the environment around me improved, then my life would improve as well. But Jim Rohn made it clear that this way of thinking was completely backwards. He explained that luck may appear in someone's life for a short time and then disappear just as quickly. But personal growth is different. When you constantly work on improving yourself, your skills, your mindset, and the value you provide to others, success eventually becomes unavoidable. He told us to look for ways to multiply our value in the marketplace. And he explained something very important. He said that when the value you bring to the world increases, your income will eventually increase as well. Another powerful lesson he shared with us was about something many people struggle with: holding themselves back. Most people never truly give their full potential a chance. If we ask ourselves an honest question, have I done everything I possibly could to reach my goals? Most people would have to admit the answer is no. We often hold back. We have ideas that we never act on. We have dreams that we never pursue. We hesitate to take risks because fear stops us. We spend most of our lives searching for safety instead of pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones. And because of that, many people carry their greatest dreams with them to the grave without ever attempting to bring those dreams to life. Before hearing Jim Rohn speak, I spent a lot of time hoping that things around me would change. I hoped the economy would improve. I hoped my company would grow. I hoped my paycheck would increase. I hoped something in the outside world would shift in my favor. But eventually, I realized something important. Those things were not going to magically change. And that realization forced me to ask a new question. If those external circumstances were not going to change for me, then how could my life ever improve? The answer Jim Rohn gave was incredibly powerful. He said, "When you change, everything around you begins to change." That lesson changed the way I viewed responsibility for my life. The fact that you are alive right now means something. The fact that you are breathing right now means you still have work to do. You still have potential waiting to be unlocked. And most importantly, you owe it to yourself to become the best version of who you can be. Every morning when you wake up, you should be able to look yourself in the mirror and say something powerful. You should be able to say, "I am living my life on my own terms." One of the most powerful shifts you can make in life is learning to change the questions you ask yourself. Because when you change your questions, you begin to change the direction of your life. And when it comes to planning your life, there are 3 very important questions you must ask yourself regularly. The first question is simple, but incredibly powerful. What do I truly want? What result am I trying to create? What outcome am I pursuing? This concept is often described using the letters RPM. The first part of this idea is about focusing on the target. The target is not the activity itself. Activities can change. Strategies can change. The real focus should always be on the result you want to achieve. When you become completely clear about what you want in life, something incredible begins to happen. Clarity gives your brain direction. The more specific you are about what you want, the easier it becomes for your mind to guide you toward it. But when people speak in vague terms, they receive vague results. For example, someone might say, "I want more money." But that statement is extremely general. If someone gives you $1, technically you received more money. That's why clarity is so important. Whether you achieve your goal depends on 2 major factors. The first factor is clarity. The second factor is emotional energy, the drive that pushes you to keep going even when things become difficult. If your goal is vague, you may think you are failing when in reality you already achieved it. For example, someone might say, "I want to lose some weight." If they lose 1 pound, technically they reach their goal. This is why personal growth matters so much. When you improve yourself, everything around you begins to improve as well. That's where the famous phrase comes from. For things to change, you must change. You don't have to change the economy. You don't have to change the marketplace. You don't have to change your country. You don't have to change external circumstances. All you have to do is look within and ask yourself how you can become better. Because when you change, life begins to change with you. Now let's go deeper into something important. Once you become clear about the results you want, you must ask yourself another question. What is the ultimate outcome you are pursuing? What do you want from this week? What do you want from this project? What do you want from your business? What do you want from your life? What do you want for your health and your body? Many people make the mistake of worrying too much about how they will achieve their goals. They become so focused on the details of the journey that they forget to focus on the destination. The truth is, you don't always need to know every step in advance. Your main responsibility is to know where you are going. When your destination is clear, the path often reveals itself along the way. The answers appear when you stay focused on the outcome. Here is one of the best pieces of advice I can offer. Welcome every experience that comes into your life. Every challenge, every opportunity, every setback. You never know which experience will completely change your life. There will definitely be moments when you feel like giving up. There will be times when the obstacles seem too big. There will be moments when the disappointment feels overwhelming. There will be times when you question whether the effort is worth it. And in those moments, it may feel like something inside you is telling you to go back to your comfort zone. But those moments are part of the journey. When people talk about changing their lives, they usually focus on changing their behavior. They think about building new habits. They think about trying new actions. But the real transformation begins somewhere deeper. It begins with your thoughts. Change your thoughts and your life begins to change. This idea was captured beautifully by Benjamin Disraeli. He once said that nothing can resist the will of a person who commits their entire existence to a purpose. In simple words, that mindset says, "I will achieve this goal or I will give everything trying." When you hold your goal clearly in your mind, something powerful begins to happen. Your actions begin to align with your vision. Your decisions begin to support your future, and your life begins to move in a new direction. And let me tell you something important. It doesn't matter how old you are. You might be a teenager watching this. You might be someone in your 60s. You might be 70, 80, or even older. Transformation is still possible. Your age does not remove your ability to grow. Every thought you experience in life is influenced by your beliefs. Every feeling you experience is connected to your values. Your entire life is shaped by the decisions you make. You decide what to believe. You decide how to react emotionally. You decide what actions you will take. But the truth is, many people allow their lives to run on autopilot. They allow the world around them to control their reactions. Instead of taking responsibility for directing their lives, they simply respond to whatever happens around them. But the moment you take control of your life, everything changes. If there is any part of your life you want to transform, your body, your career, your business, or your relationships, you need the right strategy. For example, if someone wants to lose weight and keep it off, they cannot simply follow random diets. They must understand the strategies that create lasting results. Strategy matters. However, knowing the strategy is not enough. Some people know exactly what they should do, but they still fail to do it. Why? Because success is not just about knowledge. Success is mostly about psychology. In fact, about 80% of success comes from mindset. Only 20% comes from mechanics. The mechanics represent the how. And in most cases, the how is not extremely complicated. When you learn from someone who has mastered a skill, they can show you the small adjustments that create big results. They can reveal the key actions that produce the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time. If you see yourself as an entrepreneur, a leader, or someone who wants to leave a mark on the world, then you must develop hunger. You must develop a strong desire to succeed. It is far better to prepare yourself for an opportunity that hasn't arrived yet than to face an opportunity while being unprepared. One of the smartest things you can do is study people who have already succeeded, because success leaves clues. If someone has already achieved what you want to achieve, their journey contains valuable lessons. Whatever industry you are interested in, finance, business, insurance, or anything else, find the people who are mastering that field. Study their habits, observe their mindset, follow their example. Another important factor in your success is the people you surround yourself with. Some relationships strengthen you, others weaken you. Nourishing relationships bring out the best in you. They inspire you to grow. Toxic relationships drain your energy and pull you away from your goals. People who are truly hungry for success are willing to do the things others refuse to do. They are willing to make sacrifices today so they can enjoy greater rewards tomorrow. Hungry people understand something important. If you want to rise above average, you must push yourself beyond average effort. The bottom of life is crowded. That's where people settle for comfort. If you want success, you must be willing to do today what others refuse to do. Because if you do what is easy, life will eventually become hard. Complaining about circumstances, blaming the government, blaming the economy, blaming other people, none of that will improve your life. If you constantly choose the easy path, life becomes harder over time. But if you choose to face the difficult path, the path of discipline, growth, and responsibility, life eventually becomes easier. Yes, it is hard to change your habits. It is hard to accept responsibility. It is hard to admit that where you are today is connected to the decisions you made in the past. But growth requires honesty. And the truth is simple. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you are willing to do what is hard, your life will eventually become easy.